arrested 157 times, spent 25 years in prison, had over 80-year prison sentences. My life was miserable.
Today we're going to take a look at an issue that we're all aware of, but probably not by its name. The issue is recidivism. For those unfamiliar with the term, recidivism is simply the tendency of a convicted criminal to reoffend. Recidivism negatively affects every one of us, you and I, maybe much more so than we'd like to think. First, recidivism affects your pocketbook. According to a study published in 2016 by Washington University in St. Louis, the total cost of incarceration in the United States exceeds $1 trillion, or 6% of our gross domestic product, and it dwarfs the amount spent on corrections alone. The $80 billion spent annually on corrections is frequently cited as the cost of incarceration, but this figure considerably underestimates the true cost of $1 trillion by ignoring all the important social costs. Second, the victims. According to the FBI in 2014, recidivism directly affects over 9.4 million victims in America every year. This includes all crimes except drug convictions. This means that if there are roughly 326 million people in the U.S., then 1 in every 34 people are a victim of crime each year. So, hypothetically, sometime in the next 34 years, statistically, you will be a victim. Third, it affects the convicted criminal with incarceration, as well as their spouse and, most importantly, their children. Divorce, kids caught in the crossfire of a parent in prison, greatly increases the risk that they'll grow up to commit crime. These numbers do not even include sons and daughters out of the house, aunts, uncles, cousins who are emotionally impacted by the relative who is convicted. So now that we begin to see the cost of recidivism, how do we start looking at the problem?
When I look at the problem of recidivism, I see people who have needs that are not being dealt with, and so they get arrested, they come into court, they get sent to jail, they get out of jail, they go back and they get arrested again for the same problem. The underlying issues are not being dealt with. Even when we send people sometimes to some short-term substance abuse treatment, as soon as they're done, they get out, they reoffend, and they go back into jail.
Well, it's always been a problem in California, and for that matter, for the entire United States. Where I think we're doing differently in Nevada County is we're starting to see somewhat of a reduction.
I think in our county, Nevada County, we do a good job of working with people because we've been doing that for a while, and I think in our county, we don't have quite as high a recidivism as we used to. But I think nationwide it continues to be a growing problem.
The answer we're all trying to pry open is why people continue to recommit crime, and is there anything we can actually do about helping to mitigate the problem? You would think that if a person goes to prison and loses all their freedom, family, friends, money, material goods, and then endures the shame of going to prison, they would do just about anything to avoid prison again. But more often than not, they reoffend.
It's become quite clear that the public is looking for a different resolution in criminal justice system, meaning not just incarcerate people, but keep people locally, and when you have to incarcerate at a state level, have more programming and better reintegration back into the community.
To be able to address it requires treating the whole person, and that means not just the substance abuse, that means mental health, that means mending families, education, getting jobs, getting housing.
Is that in the old days we'd just try to warehouse them. We'd get them off the street for as long as we can. Now that's fine for the very small percentage, 1 to 3%, who are sociopaths and are literally hardwired wrong, and there's no safe place for them other than prison. But the vast majority of people that we run into in Nevada County, their underlying causes of their criminality is typically based on substance abuse, and that be alcohol or methamphetamine or heroin or whatever the substance may be.
Early onset substance abuse, 12, 13, 14 years of age, some trauma in their childhood, abuse or neglect. I see people not getting high school diplomas, not completing their education, coming out unskilled, not knowing how to take care of themselves. So I think those are all common denominators in the people that I see that are struggling.
Alcohol and drugs are implicated in an estimated 80% of all offenses leading to incarceration in the United States. Now, we can't say that if we're able to eliminate drugs and alcohol abuse, that we would also eliminate crime. But it seems like low-hanging fruit toward a solution.
And I think most of these things can be dealt with as long as you have the resources and the desire to implement, the best practices that are coming up and how the experts are telling us on the empirical data how you can divert somebody from the criminal justice system. So, at being an old guy and an old-time prosecutor, I'm buying into that and trying to participate as wholeheartedly as I can, yet still live up to my mandate of keeping my public safe.
The people that I see that successfully turn their lives around have told me sometimes it's that they got to the age where they're just sick of it. They're sick of the lifestyle, they're sick of the havoc that they've left behind, and they just decide it's time to make that change. Others, something comes and intervenes. It might be the court, it might be a family member, but comes and intervenes and sort of puts them on the right path. And then once they start down that path, they get intensive treatment, they reach out to the community for other services, they have mental health issues treated, they have job training, they have housing help, they have community support, they have alumni, other people who've been there before them that can successfully support them. Those are the ones that seem to be successful and stay out of trouble.
Just one person that reaches out and brings them out of whatever pit it is that's causing them to fall back on substance abuse to survive.
Not only that they complete their substance abuse treatment, but that they also get involved in other types of services to help them basically to reestablish their life. So if they didn't get a high school diploma, they go back and get that. If they have a high school diploma, they go on and get a college education. That they mend their fences with their family members so that they can have that family support. That they reach out to services in the community and volunteer in the community, become a part of the community. Those are all things that are going to keep them engaged and have a reason not to slip back into the criminal justice system.
In our following segment, we're going to continue to peel the onion to this problem of recidivism. We all agree that repeat offending is a worthy problem to tackle. We know that drug and alcohol abuse is a major contributor to recidivism. So we need to look deeper at why drug and alcohol abuse is so prevalent in our society. You see, the answer to recidivism can't just be addiction. It has to be somewhere in the why substance abuse is a problem. What we'll begin to see is that drugs and alcohol is the self-medication some use to cope with old emotional wounds, resentments, fears, basically their deepest emotional pain. Even those innocent young children who are exposed to drugs and alcohol early in life begin to create wreckage in their lives due to substance abuse. This only creates an increasing need to self-medicate or to numb out from the new wreckage they've created. And when you realize that addiction is a progressive disease, which means that we need more alcohol or more drugs to numb out, then we see how the problem exacerbates. We begin to see that the solution is not just addressing crime or drugs and alcohol, but it's about addressing the root emotional causes that are the fuel causing the substance abuse and resulting in poor judgment, which always follows. The only way we're going to make real headway with this problem of recidivism is in addressing the whole person, how they got where they are today, and how to unravel, then find ways to heal their pain. Our commitment is to show those caught in the criminal justice system a way out to a new wholehearted life, a life worth living.
Before recovery, life was like a dark place, always looking for a purpose to carry on to the next day.
When I was 8 years old, I started getting loaded, and on a daily basis.
That's all I knew. Drugs, prisons, and guns.
Not having a license, not having a job, not having the basic things that make life living.
Getting married, getting divorced, drugs, alcohol, DUIs, constantly arrested, and it didn't matter where I went, I got arrested.
Hanging out with the wrong people and wrong part of town, doing the wrong things.
I didn't know anything better, and that's all I knew.
And there's a wonderful thing that happens when each of us begin to heal. We begin to become very thankful. And a lot of the times when we're sitting at our groups and we're talking together and we're discussing things, I hear from our people, you know, I used to be very upset at law enforcement. I used to be very upset, but you know what? They did not arrest me. They rescued me.
Call it the day I got saved. When I went to jail and whatnot, well, it's finally over. I actually can have a chance at real life and real things if I ask for help.
God says, well, if you ain't got no will to live, I'll give you a will to live. And so at 51, I had a baby boy. And that's where the beginning of a change started. I like to say the death of an outlaw and redemption of a father.
What ended up happening is I ended up hitting my knees in desperation, looking for something different in my life. The power of God entering my life and transforming me in a way that I can't explain. My life has since changed.
So I entered a program called Project H.E.A.R.T. After my heart surgery, I had lost my son to CPS custody, and that didn't go over too good with me. And what Project H.E.A.R.T. did for me is got a bunch of men around me and surrounded me and supported me, because without putting ego and pride in it, the truth of the story is you got a 56-year-old ex-convict, and you just took the only reason that he's alive away.
Violation after violation, until I heard these magic words that I didn't have to use no matter what, even if I wanted to. And that stuck in my mind, and ever since then I've been clean and I've put my life back together.
Any time that we go to one another and we say, I will fight with you, I will weep with you, I will hurt with you, but I'm here, is the most powerful thing that we in any community can ever give. And that is a real relationship, a real friendship.
Project H.E.A.R.T, 12-step program and common goals were some of the results of me getting arrested. The place gave me purpose, it gave me friends, it gave me the tools to survive and to deal with society and the problems within myself.
And I just didn't know what to do. So the men got around behind me. I was homicidal, suicidal, and just at my wit's end. And through the support of Project H.E.A.R.T, they stayed with me. They answered phone calls. They took me out to have a meal. They made sure that I had shoes on my feet. And they prayed for me. And there's a whole lot of things that are said in a small community there that is not, it takes a village sometimes to raise a convict.
Project H.E.A.R.T helped me get a job, it helped me get a vehicle, it helped me realize that there are people out there that didn't want to use me just for their profit or their benefit or just for drugs.
Project H.E.A.R.T is really looking at building mentor employers in our community.
I run a construction business and we're building homes. Currently we have 5 employees that are all through Project H.E.A.R.T, and the success rate has been 100%. As Fred and I began talking, we started looking at this model and saying this is working because we're taking Project H.E.A.R.T to a job site, and now instead of being at a meeting for an hour, you're around your brothers in arms for 40 hours a week. You have people looking at your expression in your eyes all day long, and when something changes, we can look at you and say, dude, what's up? And we can pull them aside and we can talk with them. And that's what we do. And the motto of our company is building men, building houses, with emphasis on the men, because if the men are strong men who walk in integrity and know what it means to work hard and to earn that paycheck, then the business is just going to work out.
And HEART's an acronym. It stands for Holding Excellence Above Relapse Team. Relapse meaning returning back to an illness after showing signs of improvement. We try to get together and hold each other up through weekly meetings. We have meetings, both the men's and women's team, just building solid support groups to help other people through the same situations that a lot of our people have been through.
This program is off the hook. My life is beyond the wildest dreams right now. My son's back in my custody. I'm going back to college. I'm getting A's in school. I'm going to be a social worker to help work with the men that I work with. It's my passion. Whether I do it for free or for a paycheck, it doesn't make a difference to me. I'm just going to be there.
There's nothing like helping someone else out of the same situations that I've been in and to watch them recover from whatever life-damaging issues they have, to watching them help other people through those issues as well. So it's mentoring people to mentor other people, and watching just tens of people at a time transform into new productive members of society. So that's what it's done in my life, is to give me purpose. Certainly gives me joy to do exactly what I'm doing today.
And I'll tell you, the people in this room have become my heroes over and over again.
Each convicted criminal was once a loving small child. They intended no harm to anyone. They too just wanted love and acceptance. Our desire is to help them get back to that place in their heart. That place where they need no external stimulus to feel accepted and to find peace. Only in this place of peace, love, and relationship can they become contributing members of our broader family, the family we call society.
Addicts are prone to relapse, and if they surround themselves with people who care about them and people who are clean and sober also, and know the signs of when they're starting to collapse and fall back into that world, to reach out, but not just to wait till there's crisis to have that help, to develop those relationships so there's somebody always there to give you a hand when you need it.
Thanks for watching. I hope by now you begin to see that we really can do something about the issue of recidivism, not only for the criminals' lives and their families, but for yours and mine.